Al has fixed me a cozy space in the command center, a little 3 by 3 foot cubicle, just large enough for my chair, a place to work. I stare at the eye-level surveillance lens on the carpet-covered dividers separating me from the chaos of the dud yard displays that line the walls around the room. As I begin to collect my thoughts, I get a call from Vida. First thing she says is, "What's that thing on your face?" Then, "Never mind that. Listen, Vinny. Word on the grapevine is you're working against us." I tell her I'm an independent contractor now. She threatens me. "You haven't forgotten your dad, have you?" I tell her, "He's in good hands now." She says, "Well, maybe, and maybe not," and then she clicks me off. I yell for Dud Meat and tell him, "She's threatening. I don't know what she's threatening. You know what these people are capable of." Dud Meat seems unconcerned and asks, "Would you like to talk to him?" "Now?" "Sure, give him a call." "I mean, just like that?" "Yeah. Now that we've got you all plugged in again and you've been so cooperative, call him anytime." I call Dad and find him lounging in a white terry cloth robe and sunglasses on a cushion by a sun-sparkling pool, his head in the virtual well-oiled lap of bikini-clad Marzipan. He tells me, "Ain't this resort something else?" "I was trying to get a hold of you, Vinny. Where you been?" "Where are you?" I ask. "It's raining all over the world." "It's sure not raining here." "Yeah, but where is here?" "Heck if I know. But if this ain't paradise, I don't know what is." "Then you're okay?" "That's all I care about." Dudmeat butts in. "Yes, Vinny, he's perfectly healthy and happy thanks to you. But he's still a hostage. Try not to be so negative." "And my instructions?" I ask. "You're doing fantastic. Just keep up the good work and we'll keep on protecting him." Dad says, "Don't you worry, son. They're treating us just fine. Oh, by the way, I have a little something for your mother. Will you be sure she gets this, please?" A video snapshot of Dad and Marzipan hoisting pina coladas appears on my InVision. Dad says, "And Vinny, tell her I've added a note." I'm standing in the rain knocking on Mom's door. There's no answer, but the door swings in of its own accord. I can see her in the shadows, her wan skin matching her gray hair and clothes. I wonder, when did she get to be this old? I tell her, "Dad asked me to give you this," and I run the video snapshot on our linked InVision. The old man finishes his toast, puts down his glass, kisses a fingertip, placing it on the lips of his dead lover. He winks and says to Mom, "Hi, honey. Wish you were here." Mom replays the snapshot. Once, twice. After the fourth time, I leave. I have a lot to figure out. Icing that guy, this dud mark on my face, the whole money thing, the way the game is going wrong. I look outside. The rain has let up a little. Maybe walking will help. I head toward the riverfront and check News Now for some distraction. From the Capitol, a news thing says, "Following the quick vote, the pro-election amendment passes, becoming the law of the land and going into effect immediately. From now on, every day is election day." The news thing asks a tired-looking President Stickman what he thinks about this change in the way he'll have to get elected. "Well, this just gives me more opportunities to prove I'm here to do the job that's got to be done, just like I've been doing all along." Another news thing asks him, "Isn't it true you were hoping for a longer-term arrangement? I mean, isn't this change to continuous electioneering a move in the opposite direction you had hoped to go?" "Like I always said, I fully support the process, whatever it is." Another news thing tells us, Stay tuned for the big debate. Hammerman pops up on my Envision and asks me for advice. What's the best way to put this turkey away? I tell him, Stickman's a talker. You're an actor. So put on a good act. A news thing announces, coming up next, the presidential debate of the hour. Every hour, on the hour. I sit on a wet park bench and watch the battle of the candidates on Envision. The auto moderator says, Mr. President, don't you think there's a crisis of confidence in the economy? Not at all. Our prosperity is a reflection of our confidence. And quite frankly, I've never been more confident. Candidate Hammerman, your thoughts on the economy? Well, for me, it's a no-brainer. Fear is sucking up the public's money like a sponge. If you vote for the incumbent, you'll continue to watch it fly right out the window. The moderator says, Mr. President, with billions pouring into your campaign coffers, how do you respond to charges that both you and D.A. Hammerman have already been bought off by the highest bidders? I mean, considering the size of the contributions from major contributors. Stickman says, are you suggesting we should discriminate against rich people? Hammerman interjects, I'm afraid I'll have to agree with the president on this one. Rich people are as important as anyone. And besides, we have to take what we can get, wherever we can get it. This business of running for president is a very expensive proposition. The auto moderator says, Mr. District Attorney, the president has characterized you as nothing more than a simulation. He claims that you aren't even real. Hammerman laughs. Hey, if you think I'm not real, just give my opponent a poke in the ribs sometime and see how real he is. Besides, what does being real have to do with being president? The debate is interrupted by another story as a news thing tells us, the love child finds a mom. Snatched from the very jaws of death in the belly of its mutilated transsex mother and deprived of its natural father by his suicidal hand, the child they're calling the Millennium Baby will now have a chance for a normal life. Only moments ago, a birth mother was selected by the Department of Social Services to carry the miracle fetus to term. And even as I speak, the baby is being implanted into the womb of its birth mother-to-be. We follow the action at our Mother of the Angels Hospital. A scalpel cuts a horizontal line low across the patient's abdomen. The incision is retracted, revealing the pear-shaped womb. A cut is made in the side of the uterus, the lining prepared with a laser tool, and the umbilical connection is sutured in place. As the tiny homunculus is snugged into its new nurturing home, the news thing says, this is all pretty simple, really. Instead of the baby being taken out of the mother, it gets put in her, sort of a C-section in reverse. The wind is pushing the waves over the seawall. As I move away from the swells, I'm thinking, holy Jazeera, that's my little sister. A news thing says, it's just been minutes since the celebrity mom was rolled into her VIP hospital suite with her Sigwin at her side. Let's peek in the room and find out how she's doing. Al holds the hand of my tired and happy sister as eager news things pummel them with questions. Al says, whoa, hold on a sec, give us a break. A news thing asks Sis, how does it feel to actually be the mother of the most famous baby in the world? Before she can answer, another news thing yells out, what are you naming it? Love Boy, says Sis, pressing Al's hand to her cheek. A different news thing appears, stamped with a dud mark. He says, we interrupt this story for an important news flash. Duds numbering in the millions are flooding Envision. For more on this, I'm surprised as Dud Meat appears in the newscast. Then I realize he's part of the story. Addressing the worldwide audience, Dud Meat says, As a representative of the Dud Nation, I've been asked to inform you that Duds no longer consider themselves inferior to anyone. It's getting dark now. The surveillance lights shine down on the seawall, and I wonder about all the people who were mistaking me for a dud on InVision. Are they blaming me for this dumb insurrection? News Now has an announcement from the Oval Office. President Stickman says, "As you know, renegade duds have established a beachhead on InVision, threatening everything we hold dear. Now I want to make one thing perfectly clear. My policy on upstarts remains as steadfast as ever. This country does not recognize upstarts, and it never will." The news thing says, "And now a comment from candidate Hammerman." Well, I just want to know one thing. Does this revolution mean that duds want to vote? I ask a helper to call me an auto cab, but instead of a helper, a dud appears. I tell him, "I asked for a helper." The dud says, "That helper doesn't work here anymore." I tell him, "Then you call me a cab." "Say please." "Excuse me?" The dud says, "You heard me. Look, I'm tired and wet, and I'm ready to leave this miserable place." He tells me, "Call back when you learn some manners," and he clicks me off. I call Dud Meat and start to complain. I asked for a helper and was given a dud. How are people supposed to get anything done anymore? Dud Meat says, "Get used to it." I yell at him, "Call me a cab." He says, "I thought you would have realized by now that I don't do that kind of work anymore. Do you really think I still call cabs for the likes of you? But I will do you one more favor. Look over there. See those guys coming your way from up on the seawall? Yeah? Well, I wouldn't be standing where you are when they arrive." I'm running down an alley and call security. 2 security helpers appear on InVision, and I yell, "Help! I need help!" One security helper says to the other, "Well, he looks regular enough, but he has a dud mark right on his face." I yell through my InVision, "I'm not a dud!" One of the security things says to the other, "Look here, there's a red check mark on his record. A check for attitude. Attitude is the most important thing in my book." Well, you got that right. Bad attitude means lack of respect. And without respect, do you remember when people used to have respect? They're closing in on me. I turn down a blind alley. Dud Meat! I run into a brick wall, turn, and face my attackers. They have knives. I hold up my hands. An auto chopper swoops in over a rooftop, enveloping us in prop wash and blinding us with a light. I hear Dud Meat's voice on InVision telling me, "It's all about attitude, Vinny. All about attitude."